Welcome back to Cinema Soapbox. Today's episode, it's going to be me. It's one from me. Are you
It's
excited?
gonna be man.
Thank you, Dylan. It's going to be me. But I am joined by my panel. Hello, panel.
Hello, panel.
Hello, panel.
There we are. So without further ado, I think I'm going to... All right. Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a franchise that is very close to my heart. And I know that at least one or two of you, it's very close to your heart as well. The Scream franchise. But I'm not going to talk about the entire franchise today, just one in particular. The entry I'm going to talk about has one distinct difference that sets it apart from the rest of the movies. Scream 3 only has one Ghostface. Or does it? There is a second killer in Scream 3, and that makes it a better film. A presentation by Matt Chapman. I'd like to start this by giving credit where it's due. I first noticed a couple things about Scream 3 that made me think that there might be a second Ghostface. So I went onto the internet to see if this is something that other people had noticed, and it turned out I only had a couple of pieces of the puzzle. Most of what I learned about this theory, I learned from Zach Cherry on YouTube. I do have some points that he doesn't have, and there are a point or two of his that I don't necessarily agree with, but for the most part, our theories are very, very similar. Everyone should go check out his videos on YouTube. I'm going to leave a link in the description to his YouTube channel. He has a lot of really great Scream videos and just horror videos in general. Plus, he is making a horror movie that he is crowdfunding. So everyone go check out his channel in the link in the description and give him some love because he is really great and he makes a lot of really great videos. But I do want to, before I go on to this, I do just on a personal note want to point out that Scream 3 does feature two directors that I have a mild or major obsession with that are featured in this movie in acting roles. The first being Kevin Smith, who plays Silent Bob, placing Scream 3 and presumably the rest of the franchise within the Askew-universe, which is important. But also a director that I've always admired, but recently have become a bit obsessed with, and that is Roger Corman, who plays the studio exec that wants to shut down the movie. Which brings us to the presentation itself, the first of three milestones. Why there must be a second Ghostface. I will tell you that for this, it is not important for you to have seen Scream 3 recently, but it is important that you have seen it. So if you haven't seen it, pause this video, go watch it, come back and finish the video. If you have seen it recently, like the people who just returned from watching Scream 3, who paused the video and came back to it, it will help in placing everything that I'm about to talk about. But again, not strictly necessary. For those who haven't seen it recently, I'm going to remind you of what happens in the movie. Just a quick, here's what happens in Scream 3. So if you haven't seen it, I'm about to spoil the whole thing. Ghostface is looking for Sydney and goes to Cotton Weary, the last person that I assume Sydney would have given her location to find out where she is. He doesn't know where she is, so he and his girlfriend are killed. Gail Weathers finds out about this and goes to LA because we have to get the whole gang back together. And guess what? They're making Stab 3. And Dewey is working on it as a consultant. After Sarah Darling, one of the actors, is killed, production halts, and the director, Roman, gets very grumpy. The unmurdered remainder of the cast goes to a wrap party / funeral for the movie at Jennifer's house. She's the one playing Gail, and she will henceforth be known as the other Gail. And Dewey lives on her property in a trailer. Jennifer's bodyguard, or the other Gail's bodyguard, is killed, and so is the actor playing Dewey by stab wounds and house explosion, respectively. Sydney has been living in seclusion under an alias, which is why our buddy old GF, Ghostface, is trying to find her. During the events of the wrap party, she is called by Ghostface, who has located her. She goes to Hollywood, where all the killings are happening for reasons. Sydney is chased around the Stab 3 set, which is a stunning replica of her old house. Production designer deserves Oscar consideration for that recreation. We find out that Sydney's mother used to be an actor working for the same guy that is producing Stab 3, John Milton. We get to see Randy, Rip, briefly in a pre-recorded videotape where that he made on the occasion that Ghostface comes back for a trilogy. Because the crew loves to party when there's a killer about, the dwindling Stab 3 cast go to a birthday party for Roman, the director. And at John Milton's mansion, Ghostface kills the rest of the cast and seemingly Roman himself. Ghostface then lures Sydney to the mansion, where he has revealed himself to be Ghostface. What? I thought he was dead. He is Sydney's half-brother, and John Milton is the father. He is also revealed to be the mastermind behind the killings of the original Scream and Stab, I guess. Roman is killed by several shots to a bulletproof vest and one shot to the head. We're still not sure which one took him out. Despite the silly way I just described it, I really do love this movie, and I love it even more now that I know that there are two killers. To prove why there must be a second Ghostface in Scream 3, we are going to start with some behind-the-scenes information. One, the original script. In the original screenplay by Aaron Kruger, which is just the coolest name to be working on a Wes Craven movie, had two Ghostfaces. It was moved to Hollywood from Woodsboro because of the increased instances of violence in small towns in real life, including the Columbine shootings. Constant rewrites. Like Scream 2 before it, the film was in Mortal Kombat with the internet, hoping to keep the ending out of the hands of the public and fixing issues within the script. They were changing the script daily, sometimes giving the actors new lines while on set. This caused most of the movie to be filmed under the impression that there was a second Ghostface, because that change didn't happen until late into filming. The Ghostface in absentia. Due to the original script and constant rewrites, the actor who was supposed to be the second Ghostface played the part throughout as though they were actually Ghostface. But that's all behind the scenes stuff. What really counts is what's on screen. So let me tell you about the holes caused by one Ghostface, both in the plot and in the body. First, let's talk about the victim calls. Throughout the movie, Ghostface is talking to the victims while hiding in very close proximity. With Sarah Darling, for example, he was just a couple doors down the hall in an empty office building. His voice would have carried at the volume he was speaking. Have you ever been talking to someone on the phone who is in the next room? You hear their voice from their mouth before you hear it on the phone. So she definitely would have heard Ghostface talking if she was within that close proximity. The most egregious example, however, is Stephen Stone, Jennifer's bodyguard. I have a clip.
Wait. Hey, I'm just checking to make sure there's no killer in here waiting to off you like he did your little sister.
What did you say? I can't believe you said that. That makes me angry.
As you can see, Ghost Feet is mere feet away from Stone, and he couldn't hear him speaking at normal volume. It's also worth noting that his voice changes to the normal Ghostface voice after he comes around the corner. But the time it would take from his last word as Dewey to angry is too quick to have happened without us seeing him switch it on the modulator as he moves around the corner. I'm going to show you again just so you can see that. Oh.
Wait.
Hey, I'm just checking to make sure there's no killer in here waiting to off you like he did your little sister.
What did you say? I can't believe you said that. That makes me angry.
Number 2, the Sydney call. The call in question is when Ghostface calls Sydney at her home. After spending the first third of the movie trying to track her down, they never explain how Ghostface got the number, despite spending time searching for it. Not to mention, Roman spent most of the day that day in police custody because he was suspected in Sarah Darling's murder. How did he get Sydney's very unlisted number when Dewey is the only one who knows it? Number 3, the stab set chase. The Stab 3 set in question is a complete replica of Sydney's house, as I mentioned before, from the first movie. You may be able to explain away some of the other plot holes in this movie, but this scene is the one in the entire movie that could not have been done without a second Ghostface. One Ghostface could not possibly have done everything that he does in this scene. There had to have been 2. I'm going to show you a little clip. We're going to watch that scene a second time. Please tell me as you watch this, and not really, you can tell me after. Please tell me how Roman went from pushing the bedroom door to outside her window in a second and a half. Tell me how he got inside the house and in the closet before she even got to the window to the door, because remember, we can see everything through that window. We can see the closet through that window. No one entered that closet during that time. After that, they run upstairs, and Sydney tricks Ghostface into falling back down to the lower floor. I'm not going to play the rest of the scene, but I will describe it, and you'll just have to trust me. Sydney immediately runs over to the stairs to make sure that they don't come back up, but is beckoned to a nearby room by her mother's voice. Remember, the voice modulator can mimic other people's voices now, including Maureen Prescott. Sydney goes to the room, and Ghostface is already on the floor, pretending to be a prop body. Sydney turns for a second because she hears Dewey, and then Ghostface rises, still under the sheet, speaking in Maureen's voice. There is no way Roman could have been thrown down to the lower level, gotten back up to Maureen's body in the 1 second it takes Sydney to run over to the stairs, let alone get into position under the sheet and use the voice modulator without sounding completely out of breath. Impossible. The final holes I want to point out are the ones at the Stab 3 wrap party after the movie is shut down. While this scene theoretically could have been achieved without a second Ghostface, it is extremely implausible considering how much happens in such a short amount of time. In D&D terms, Roman would have had to have cast haste on himself and had a critical success on his stealth check. The film would like us to believe that Roman kills the bodyguard, cuts the power, sends faxes from his phone while the power is out. Not sure how that works. Turns on the gas stove, and has himself in position at the bottom of the hill to attack Gale as soon as they get there. Let's talk about the gas stove for a second. I looked into how long a gas stove would need to be on without the flame to cause a house to explode. Based on my research, and I'm sure there are professionals out there who could tell me better, this is just the research that I found on the internet. Based on my research, a room that size could fill to an explosive level within 8 minutes if only one burner is turned on. 4 minutes if there were 2 burners on without the flame. Something else I discovered is that there is a saturation point wherein gas is no longer explosive, which in this case would be 20 to 30 minutes with 1 burner and 10 to 15 minutes with 2. So how long has the gas stove been on? Well, it would likely have had to have been after this cigarette was lit, but probably no more than 4 minutes before the scene started, based on the information that we have. From the time we see him with the cigarette until he lights that fateful lighter, is 7 minutes and 31 seconds of movie time. Now, there's not a ticking clock on screen, and we don't know that if this is happening in real time, but there is an urgency throughout the scene that suggests this is pretty much happening as we see it. Let's say, for argument's sake, that the stove was turned on so that he lit the cigarette right before it would have been explosive. So that's 4 minutes plus 7 minutes and 31 seconds, which is 11 minutes and 31 seconds, which is right within the 10 to 15 minute time frame in which it becomes no longer explosive. So while it still could be explosive, I'm going to say the gas was likely turned on not long after the cigarette was lit. And you might be thinking, well, as unlikely as it is that he wouldn't be seen, Roman could have snuck around during that time. But remember, Roman was hiding in Dewey's trailer waiting to kill Stone during most of this scene, or at least during most of the early part of this scene, and then starts faxing right after Stone dies. He would likely need to be at a secure location before he starts the faxes because there are people traveling all throughout the house during this time. It is far more likely that an accomplice turned on the gas, likely someone at the party. But who? Which brings us to the question we've all been waiting for. Who is the second Ghostface? Like with any murder suspect, the second Ghostface would need to have a motive, means, and opportunity. Motive and means can be explained away with exposition. We don't have to see those things be true on screen for them to be true within the movie. It's actually a staple of the Scream franchise. We always are told the means and motive after the killer is revealed. Opportunity, however, requires coordination and plausible positioning to make sense in the context of the movie. There's only one person in Scream 3 outside of Roman Bridger who had the opportunity to assist in these murders in a demonstrable way. And that is Angelina Tyler, our second Ghostface. Now, that's easy to say, but can I prove it? Yes, I can. Of course, why would we be here if I couldn't? First, we'll start with how we started before. Behind the scenes information for this part is pretty simple. Angelina was originally the second Ghostface in the screenplay, and because they were changing the script as they went, she spent the majority of the production believing that she was going to be revealed as one of the killers. Use that in her performance. And let's talk about that performance, and not just Emily Mortimer's performance as Angelina, but Angelina's performance as Sidney Prescott. Early in the film, when we are first introduced to Angelina, she is seen sitting on the Stab 3 set with her captain. As they are discussing Cotton Weary's murder, at one point it is suggested that maybe Sidney Prescott is the killer, which gets Angelina's attention and prompts a display. And then she immediately changes the subject. We also know that she was chosen in a nationwide search for the next Sidney Prescott. It's mentioned several times throughout the film, and she says that she slept with John Milton, which is probably true. But from what we learned about Milton, she's likely not the only one. He is not likely not the only one that slept with. In the original script, Angelina was Roman's girlfriend. He convinced Milton to hire her. If we can get to the point that we accept Angelina as a second Ghostface, we can then assume that that part is true as well. Now let's return to the wrap party and look at what Angelina was doing throughout the chaos. Throughout the party, Angelina keeps going in and out of the house, but I will touch more on that later. The next bit I'm going to show you is likely just a production state, but is in the movie, so there must be an explanation within the reality of the movie. After the first fax comes through, there is no more paper in the fax. But look what happens. Suddenly, there is paper. How could that have happened? Well, pay attention to the person closest to the fax machine. It's Angelina. She slows this down to show you her movement. She sees the paper tray. She looks to make sure everyone else is distracted. And then she begins moving toward the fax machine. Cut to a real filled paper tray with everyone noticing. The last bit of the wrap party I need to show you for now comes right before the explosion. At this point, no one is supposed to know what's about to happen. So Angelina's behavior here is interesting. As you can see, Angelina breaks away from the rest of the group and letting go of the other Gale, breaking away from the group. And then a few seconds later, someone's missing. And then what happens next is the original thing that made me suspicious of Angelina in the first place. The catalyst for my journey into the second book. It's a small thing, but it's an unanswered question that I think points to a larger point. Angelina emerges from relative safety, and Dewey asks, "How did you get over there?" She doesn't answer. Also, note that she is not banged up like the other three who survived the explosion. The birthday party. The third act takes place at Roman's birthday, because of course it does. All the Scream movies except for 2 and 6 have ended at a house party. Angelina's behavior at Roman's party is strange compared to her behavior throughout the rest of the film. In the other scenes, she acts reserved, even shy, and often scared about everything that's going on. When she arrives at Milton's mansion for the party, she comes alive, which can be explained if she's never been to a house party to a house like this, or if she's particularly excited about the party. But shortly after the party starts, it is suggested that they all split up and search the mansion. And who orchestrated this splitting of the party? That's right, Roman and Angelina. That's not Roman, but that is Angelina convincing that guy to leave the rest of the party with her. Tyson is his name. Convincing Tyson to leave everyone else to go with her. While they are split from each other, Dewey finds Tyson, who is supposed to be with Angelina, and he says she suddenly vanished. A bit later, Angelina emerges from behind a painting, claiming to have stumbled into a secret passage. She even tries to pull the 2 Gales into the passage with her, presumably to kill them. My theory is that she found the secret passage and went hoping Tyson would follow her, but he didn't, so she found the next 2 would-be victims. Which leads us to the question I'm sure many of you are asking, because it's what happens next in this movie. Didn't she die? Yes, she sure did. Or at least that's what Roman, Angelina, and the movie want you to think. Angelina runs downstairs making a lot of noise and then is killed out of eyeshot of anyone, but within earshot. This causes the 2 Gales to run to the top of the stairs and see what happened, where they find an apparently dead Angelina. What happens next is very interesting, and it's something we never see a Ghostface do. He pulls her body out of frame. This is particularly dangerous for Roman because he is doing this in view of two other people, one of whom is known to have helped kill both Billy and Mickey. Ghostface works best one-on-one. If it's two-on-one, there's a good chance he will be overpowered. In horror movies, there are only 3 reasons to move a body. 1, so you don't get caught. 2, to put the body on display later in the film, which we do not see him do in this movie. And 3, because they're not really dead. We've seen this happen 2 other times in Scream movies. Once in the original Scream, when Stu pretends to kill Billy, and once in Scream 6, when Quinn is apparently killed in her bedroom as handsome neighbor watches from across the alley. Actually, it's happened 3 other times before this, because minutes before this moment, Roman was just found dead. My theory is that the plan was to pretend to kill both off so they could use the secret passageways to kill without any suspicion of their whereabouts. While it is never revealed that Angelina is the accomplice, during his big Ghostface monologue that comes right before every Ghostface death, he specifically says that when he was telling Billy how to do it, he told him that he needed to have a partner to frame. Seems like advice he would take for himself. The last piece of evidence that I have that Angela Tyler is the second Ghostface is not from the movie itself, but from the Ultimate Scream Collection DVD. This 3-movie set came with the 3 original Scream movies, a 4th disc full of bonus features, and a fun little booklet. Inside the booklet were things like photos, posters, and an in memoriam for everyone who died in each movie. I want you to take a look at who's missing from the list of dead Scream 3 characters. Angela Tyler is nowhere to be found, not listed as one of the dead from the movie. Roman Bridger is. Now, all the evidence I just gave you only proves that she is the second Ghostface. It doesn't satisfy the primary premise. I'm going to answer that for you now. How this makes Scream 3 a better movie. A few minutes ago, I gave you a list of people that were caused by only having one Ghostface. Well, now I'm going to fill those holes with Angelina. First, the victim calls. This one's pretty obvious. Roman couldn't have made some of the calls due to his proximity to the victims. But if he has an accomplice, he can be making the calls while Angelina is waiting to slay, or vice versa. Although the mastermind usually makes the call, so it's probably Roman most of the time making the phone calls and Angelina doing the slaying a lot of the time. Second, the Sydney call. The question here is, how does Roman get Sydney's number after spending the first half of the movie trying unsuccessfully? Well, that's simple. The Sydney call takes place at the same time or slightly before the wrap party. Angelina is there, moving in and out of the room constantly, as I mentioned, and crucially, Dewey is also there, and he is the only person with Sydney's home phone number. Mark Kincaid uses Dewey's phone at one point in the movie, but this is just used as a misdirect. No one else uses Dewey's phone that we see except for Dewey and Mark Kincaid. The fact that someone would have needed to someone would needed to have retrieved the number from his phone, and it almost had to have been Angelina slipping his phone away from him and sending the number to Roman, or making the phone call herself, although it's most likely Roman who made the phone call. Third, the stab set chase. This one we established had to have been done by 2 Ghostface. But what evidence do we have that it was Angelina? Well, in the scene directly before the chase, Sydney finds Angelina hiding in the bathroom with a Ghostface mask. She claims that she took the mask because she wanted to take a souvenir in case the movie was shut down. But I have a bigger question for her than why she had the mask, and that's, why is she standing on the toilet? In this scene, we see her feet go up from under the bathroom stall, a la the original Scream. She acts surprised to see Sydney when she opens the stall door, but if she didn't know Sydney was there, Why did she stand on the toilet? She was likely waiting for Sydney to leave the room so she could put on her costume and go attack Sydney on set, which is exactly what happened next. And I already told you about that scene. It had to have had a second Ghostface, and the most likely person is the person who was already there, mask in hand. Which brings us to the last hole left to fill, the rap party. Angelina not only had the opportunity to assist Roman with all the things he could not have been able to do without being cited, but she is known for leaving the room multiple times, giving her the means to do so. As you can see from the evidence I have put forth, there is no way Roman could have done all of this himself, and it would have had to have an accomplice. There is only one person who had the motive, means, and opportunity to do so, and that was Angelina Tyler. Now, I've laid all this out, and I hope it gave you something to think about, and I hope it improves your future viewings of Scream 3. I know it has for me, a film I already loved, but I love more now. Now, I want to hear your questions and thoughts on my theory, but first I have a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie? Thank you.
Yay. Yay.
All right.
What a great presentation, Matt. That was lovely.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. Well, I go ahead and rip it apart, or don't, please, and then tell me how you felt about it.
I'll start because I'm the least Scream 3 knowledgeable person here. I've watched it once, but it was so long ago, and I don't remember it well enough, but I knew enough about like who the killer was, and you going through the presentation really recapped it well, and the moments were coming back to me. The only question I have is like, if it makes the movie better, why not reveal that it was her as well? Like, that's my whole question, is why then did the creators of the film not put it in there? Because if it makes it such a better movie, then like for me, it's not anything you did. You presented perfectly, and I'm sold. But I'm also like, why would they cut it out then? You know, especially if it's in the script.
They cut it out because I don't know. I don't know that anybody necessarily said why they cut it out. But it certainly was. Why do I think? I think that they did it to have one more death scene. I get. Well, I mean, I think they would have had that death scene in. I think they were going to fake her death. Right. I just think that I don't know. I think the idea of having one Ghostface was probably something that they were interested in.
Right, because they had only done two until that.
Yeah, they'd only done two Ghostfaces up to this point. So having one Ghostface is probably a lure. Also, because the reason Roman gives, which is that Maureen is was his mother, and he didn't get the life that Sydney had, makes it a lot more personal. I think that that's probably what it was. But I think that it still would have been better if he had revealed that, his girlfriend was there the whole time and whatever like that. I think that would have made it better simply because of the things I mentioned, the holes that it filled by having a second Ghostface.
Yeah, no, great presentation. I loved let's fill those holes with Abigail. That was a great phrasing there. But yeah, great job, Matt. I was not taking issue with your presentation. I was just curious because I'm like, if it's such a good theory, like why did they deprive us of that? But that's a good point. Great job.
A good question.
I think just to piggyback off of what Dylan was saying though about the reason why they might have cut her out, because and Matt definitely touched on this, was that I mean Roman has such a great reason that it's like maybe they couldn't figure out the right story that she would actually her motive, it might have gotten in the way of the story. But then I'm sitting there thinking because when we go to Scream 4, we get a great if you haven't seen Scream 4, go watch that because I'm about to spoil that. We have a great I want to be Sydney, and then you could have had that with Mortimer because she was playing Sydney. She could have been right. I'm gonna, go really hard. I'm gonna go super method, and I'm gonna be Sydney, but I can't be Sydney if Sydney still exists.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they set it up so many times about how she was chosen in this nationwide search for Sydney, and then they explain it away by that she slept with Milton, and then originally also they were going to explain, well, she was Roman's girlfriend, so that's how she got that role. And yes, so that would have been I'm sure if she's Roman's girlfriend, she's heard and she's helping with this. She knows all about the trauma that it's caused Roman to have grown up without Maureen, and I think that's that. I mean, that's. But yeah, I like that too with that she is now going to be the Sydney he needs in his life, like that kind of thing. Like that would I like that theory as well.
I think that.
No, I was
Sorry,
about
go
to
ahead.
call on you, Stacey.
Oh, okay. And I am a huge Scream fan, by the way, of course. I think that they might have just changed it to give it a different twist, because making it a thing, because everyone's waiting for the second killer reveal if you've seen the first two. And so I think they might have just decided, like, hey, let's make it one, because that's what is not expected now. But also, I don't remember exactly when did this one come out? Because the first one was 2000. It could have also been that Columbine was two killers.
Yeah.
They did change a lot because of Columbine, so that could have been it too. Yeah,
that was two. So they could have been just separating it even more, even though there's not really any similarities. But everything was so sensitive. If you remember the time, everything was just so sensitive then. I think that's a possibility. You thoroughly convinced me. Like, you had me at the step set.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
You did it.
Good. All right. Well, I appreciate
The only
that.
thing
Oh no, Chris. Go, Chris.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I was just gonna say the only thing that I would like is a theory on Parker Posey as Jennifer being the second killer, and that's just personal because I love Parker Posey so much.
Oh, same. Same.
That would be a fun walkthrough.
I also love Parker Posey. The problem is with her being there is, as I've watched this movie so many times prepping for this, and because I had originally done half of this presentation 3 months ago, and then redid it or did the other half now. I've had to watch it more times since then, and I've gone through clips. I've gone through everything. The problem is she can't be the killer because she is always present she is always present in the victim position, always. She's all and most of the time right beside Gail. So like other Gail, first Gail.
She's up Gail's butt.
So she is always in the victim position. She's never she doesn't have the opportunity. That's really the thing. Angelina is the only one who could have been there, who had the opportunity throughout the film, who doesn't die immediately. I mean, I imagine a case could be made for Sarah Darling, except for that she dies so early, but she also dies immediately. Like, so it's Angelina's the only person that it possibly could have been. They try to make you think it's Kincaid throughout. Mark Kincaid, who apparently is not Sydney's husband. We spent 2 movies believing that was her husband, and then they just revealed that it's actually Joel
McHale.
Joel McHale. So so that sucks. But no, it had to have been Angelina. She's the only one with the opportunity. Carly.
Yeah, I think you made a really good argument. Like, every thought I had that, oh, maybe this, you kind of like, you really did a really good job of closing those holes. And I especially love, my favorite point was just that, like, her body looks so staged. Like, you don't see a knife in her. You don't see, you just see blood the very same way we see in the first Scream. The fake blood, like, it looks very, like, if you're watching specifically for that, it's pretty easy to see. So I think you made a lot of really great points.
Yeah, it's and before if anybody says anything in the comments, please let me know in the comments how you feel about this theory. We do see the scene where she is killed. We see that happen, so that doesn't happen off screen, but we see it from behind, and it seems very staged too, because the idea is to have Gail or the two Gales follow her screams. So the fact that happened, I would say can be explained away by them trying to stage her death in a way that because she she goes downstairs and immediately there's a screaming thing and then gets pulled away. So yes, that I agree that when you're watching for that, it becomes very, very obvious, and they never fill those holes with other things because while they were filming, they didn't know to. And I guess they decided not to do reshoots. It's Scream 3, although as I mentioned, I do love it because I love all the Scream movies. It is considered by most to be the worst of the franchise. And a lot of it is because of the holes in the movie. And I think that's why I say it makes it a better film, because if you can fill those holes, suddenly a lot of the problems with this movie are no longer problems with this movie. So
Great job, man.
Well, thank you. Does anybody else have anything else for me?
Yeah. I wanted to talk for a second, if that's okay. I wanted to because there were some things in it that I just kind of like laughing at a little bit, because it's like, like fun little fan things where, I'm like, well, that, like you said, like that could be kind of written off as like, I don't really buy that. Kind of like the printer paper thing, like you said, is just kind of like a continuity error. But I just was like sitting there imagining in this moment of panic, her like stacking some paper and like reloading this printer and stuff like that. I just thought like the way you reload a printer, I'm like, it would take like way more time, I think, than she actually had there. And then thinking about like the other things that were like, the different rooms and whatnot, where it's like, the killer's like a few rooms down or right outside the RV and switching the voice changer and stuff. And I'm like, I feel like you can probably kind of think like, well, it's possible for him to have like swapped it really quick, like on the voice changer before he runs in and says angry, and then
I will say this. Hold on real quick.
Sure.
Because I want to address those two things. Number one, we see Gail switch the voice changer in the movie, and when she does it, it makes a whirring sound.
Okay.
Which we don't hear. Also, when I say he wasn't outside the trailer, he was feet away around a corner in the trailer. So it wasn't like there was a barrier between them. They were basically standing next to each other, and he couldn't hear him talking on the phone.
Yeah.
In a trailer.
Because I mean, if you're also thinking about like, you as the viewer, like looking in the movie, like you would have heard two voices going on at once. And then like the same thing for when you're talking about in the offices back at the Step studio and thinking about a few rooms down, I'm like, well, we don't know like the soundproofing like mechanisms that they might have in those offices and the frequencies and all that. So I mean, what I'm basically getting at is like, a lot of that stuff I was sitting there writing off in my head a little bit, even though you're making it stronger here a little bit there. But when you were like going on talking about like the continuity of like him falling and then, also immediately being in the other room as Marine's body, I was like, yeah, that's like a super strong case of they were setting something up and they didn't really flesh it out. And then when you go to the Angelina thing, I think you make like all the great points about how she's like a second Mickey or Stu, where she's just kind of like the one who was roped into it. Yeah. And the only thing that's missing is the epic reveal of Angelina being a Ghostface the whole time. Yeah. And they could have easily had that scene, and I did want to add that you're talking about like the reasons for Roman pulling her body off. While I do think that's a good point about like why would he have done that? Like he didn't need to. I think it's just a brilliant shot. When you played that, I was like, wow, that's such a good shot.
It is a great shot. I completely agree. It's a great shot that you expect to be setting something up.
Yeah.
And isn't. That's an establishing shot for foreshadowing for a later reveal that we don't get. So I would also like to say about the fax machine. Yes, it's probably a production mistake. It's probably just a continuity error. However, if we are to accept that the universe that this is set in is a universe is a real place where a real thing is happening, there has to be a physics explanation for everything that happens in it.
Also, can I say about the fax machine? That was like an actual fax, not a fax printer. And an actual fax, you just stick the paper in the back. Not a draw and all kind. You just
and like we couldn't see exactly what it was setting on, so there could have been just like paper, just like right below it. She grabs it and puts it in because it cuts to after when you kind of see her move toward it. It cuts to them all reading what's on the paper. Everyone is distracted. No one's going to pay attention to what she's doing at that point. So her behavior. The point of that all is her behavior is weird. Even if she's not the killer, what she does in that scene is always weird. So like, that's really the point there. But I do, and when it comes to things. There probably are some of those things that you could write off as other things, but they are pieces of a puzzle that, when put together, kind of says, no, this has to be the case, at least in my opinion.
I do think too that they make her look like the killer a lot, which usually makes you think she's not the killer, but almost because they make her look like her so much, so you think it's not her, would be a good way to make it her. And not have people guess that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, because they did that with Billy in the first one. They constantly made him a red herring, and he turned out to not be a red herring. So like, that is very true as well.
One funny thing I just wanted to add that makes no sense, but I thought, like, how funny would this be? Because you were talking about like universes and franchises and stuff, and how Scream might be a part of a different franchise. What if the second killer reveal at the end was that the second killer this whole time was Silent Bob?
That's true. That would have been crazy. It's funny because in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, they are making the new Scream movie, and they're on set. And when they take the mask off, it's a chimpanzee. But that story exists in the Scream universe now because they connected them.
I love that so much.
Okay, well, it seems like we got this squared away. Tell me in the comments, do you agree with my theory? Go watch some Zach Cherry videos because he's great. He has a lot of really great horror stuff, including a lot of really great Scream movies or Scream videos. If you ever want to know which killer did each kill in each Scream movie, go watch it. He's got a video for each movie. So go watch that. Talk to me in the comments about how you feel about this theory. See you next time. No, damn it. Hold on. Thank you for coming to our film talk.